Hello and welcome to JK, It's Not About You. I'm Jen Rouse.
And I'm Kelli Murcko, and we're your hosts. We're new empty nesters, and we're here to talk about what the next chapter looks like.
For so long, we were taxi drivers,
Domestic engineers, chefs,
tutors, cheerleaders,
and everything else that goes along with being a parent.
No days off, no paid vacation, and very limited time to pursue our own passions. It just wasn't about us.
It really wasn't. Join us on this new endeavor as we find passions in all things empty nesting. The little birdies have flown the coop and they're living their best lives, and now it's our turn. We're sweating through our 50s trying to figure it all out.
From resetting on marriage, navigating divorce, dating at 50, we're here to reclaim our calendars, our bodies, and our newly found identities in this confusing yet exciting new phase of life.
So grab your glass of wine or beverage of choice, your cozy sweats, and join us as we unpack all things real in our 50s. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm Jen.
I'm Kelli.
And welcome to JK, It's Not About You.
Yes, welcome to episode 10.
I can't believe it's 10.
I
Every
know.
time we say that. We're just
Every-
cruising right along.
Once again, I know. So excited.
It's really fun. It's really fun. And we have
this
a guest today.
We do?
You should introduce.
Okay, I will. This is Elias Murcko, my cute little 19-year-old big son.
I know. You're so
Big.
big.
I know. Very big.
But I love that he's here every week for dinner.
I know. Every single week. He checks in. Sundays usually, don't you?
Oh,
so
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I think we're on Wednesdays now.
Yeah.
We're on Wednesdays.
We're on Wednesdays.
It's been on a Wednesdays kick.
It's been perfect.
Yeah.
So, what did we want
Well, we wanted to recap our week, I guess. You're back in school.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone's
Everybody's back in
finally
school.
back in school, which is great. 75 hard. We can recap on that a little bit. It has been a little bit challenging with this weather, getting outside for sure. But we've been doing it.
Yeah. Ice bathing still, the whole thing. Elias is doing it too.
I know.
I have to pour hot water on the tub
Yeah.
to even be able to break it with my 10-pound weight because
And like a lot of buckets, like not just one.
no, I didn't just do the tea. I started with the tea kettle and realized it was going to take a lot more.
Did you really?
Well, because I thought if I could just get the edges.
It's this thick.
It is. And now I have icebergs in there. So I'm just like throwing them out as I get in. And I'm just hoping that it won't cut you, you know? Like,
Yeah. You have to go in slow.
I have to be very careful.
Yeah.
And now I have like a little ledge of ice that I could put my feet up on.
Oh, how cute is that?
So it's
Could you
just-
slide in there?
But it's hard. But I thought, you know what, Elias does this. You teach me mental toughness. You teach me discipline with your sport and your, drive to do that. And I was like, I committed to this. This is
Yep.
No rolling over.
no.
Yep. Yep. You inspire me as well. So.
Well, I mean, you're so young and your sport is so important to you and you have, such drive and you've always had that mental toughness. And I think that's what it requires for an athlete.
I mean, but like he's really had it since he's been this big,
Sure.
like very much always been about quality, never been about quantity, always has picked and chosen who he's wanted to hang out with, and never went with the flow of things, always just went with what he felt and followed his passion. So I think that's something
so
to be
great.
doing like since he's been a little boy.
That's so great and so unusual, like you never were like the follower. You always had your own instincts about people and things, and you still do.
Yes.
You teach me a lot about that. And so I think, I guess like it's interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about college because that's sort of what's happening. I think this time of year, people are getting their acceptance letters and all that. And you vaguely remember what I went through with Sarah, which was horrible.
I think
Yes.
he remembers.
But I wanted to segue the college thing a little bit with athletic pressure and how parents I think, I mean, Nate definitely sees it in snowboarding, and I'm sure you see it a degree in climbing, and just growing up having parent pushers and, parents living vicariously through their kids, and the mental toll that takes on not only your athletic ability, but your self worth and your self esteem. And I think it'd be great for parents that maybe are not even just empty nesters yet, like are listening to us, that maybe would get like some perspective from your side of how that feels when parents just like, what kind of, role do you want us to take in those scenarios?
Yeah. It's definitely a huge part of the sport, especially at a high level. There's a lot of very talented kids that are pushed by their parents to go harder and harder, and often they find success, or at least early on. But it can take a huge mental toll on that child to constantly want to perform, to not get some sort of abuse from their parent. And over the years, it can add up, and you start questioning, why am I even doing this? It can be very sad, to watch these kids. So I definitely think it's important that the kid is doing it for themselves. They want to be there, that they're and the parent is being supportive rather than pushing them doing something they don't want to do, but saying, hey, I'm here for you, and supporting their efforts with their training. But it really has to be their decision to be there in order for it to be a healthy relationship with the sport and the athlete. But if the parent is forcing that relationship, eventually something will give and something will break, whether that's the relationship between the parent and the child, or the relationship between the child and the sport. And there will be some sort of breakage there if you try to force that relationship.
It's true. I mean, it's like they have so much, we all do, like so much already to think about, and so much pressure they're already putting on themselves. And let's be clear, he messes up, he falls off the wall. I mean, there's no one harder on himself than him. There's no reason to put any more pressure on him. Oh, we traveled here, we spent this money, we did this. It's not about that. No. It's just not about that. And I've seen it all by traveling with you for many, many years. Not so much in Nordic with Melissa, but definitely with you. And for me, it's just like sad. I get just, you just want to like take this kid and tell him what a great job he did. And, and next time you'll do better, and what you need to work on or whatever. But you just see them like kind of turtle in and get extremely sad and almost like afraid to express that they're upset because they don't want to get.
And it's sad because I've seen
that.
some talented kids stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you wonder, it's like, did they really want to stop, or they just wanted the pressure to stop?
There's both.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think it depends on that particular individual, but a lot of the time they will take a big break because they have to redefine why they are doing what they're doing. Because if they have some sort of breakage, like I said, that will eventually come. If their parent was just pushing them for years and years, then they're going to break eventually. But maybe they do really love what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so they have to take a break. They have to redefine what their values are. And then maybe they do come back and they thrive, mentally, and they've had the skill that they have this love, but it's a much more positive relationship. Instead of disappointing for someone, it's really on you're doing it because you love it for yourself. You know?
That's, I mean, from what I gather, watching you and watching Nate are my two comparable things with sports, is seeing like how it is such an internal fire. It is such an internal thing for you to do, and not just the sport, but everything around it. The stretching, the ice bathing, the, you know, everything you have to do. Like, you're like, my knee bothers me today, and like what I'm going to do about it, and listening to your body and knowing what's what. I mean, it's incredible what you manage. And I just think that, you know, in general now, the pressure for all you kids, like, I know you took a break from social media. Maybe you can get
I'm
into
still
why.
off of that.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, social media for me, I think there's a few reasons. But to start off with, I think a lot of other athletes also have this issue, is comparison to other athletes. Because you go on social media and, you know, of course you follow all the people that you want to, these amazing athletes. But really what the sport is individual. It's you can get inspired and you can get psyched up and see someone do some cool trick or a cool climb or something, and it's cool to see. But when the reality of training and of doing a sport is, it's not consistent with you, particularly, you go through injuries, you go through a hard training cycle where your body is tired, and for me, it was hard to go on social media and see all this success. And of course, you only see the success of all these others, and maybe you're going through a rough time. And it's for me, it was hard I would compare myself to those people. Be like, man, like this one guy, you know, he's always able to achieve, you know. And it was just a comparison. I wasn't focusing on myself. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to, that's a main reason why I deleted it, is because I just found myself comparing versus being more present with myself and my training and my process. Because it is really, when you pay more attention to yourself, that's when you start to progress, both mentally and physically. But I think another reason for me was also just the amount of time wasting.
It's a lot, right?
I mean, it's a hard thing to talk about because so many people, I mean, it is rare to find someone who's not on social media. So it's hard to say, oh yes, you know, just delete it. But I mean, it's a huge part of our world, but for me personally, I found it a big waste of time. You know, with the algorithms wanting you to stay on the app, just scrolling, you know.
Sucks you in, right?
Yeah, it sucks you in. And of course I like it because it's designed for me too. But I was like, this is a waste of time. I'm not, you know, there's a lot of negativity I would see. A lot of negativity, which I just didn't want to have in my daily life. So I decided to delete the app a few months ago now.
It's been a while.
Yeah, maybe around 5-6 months now.
And do you think your mental health has improved since then?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, if you look at it like that, but I think it's more so. I love to use the word like being present with myself, because of like the lack of distraction and like influence from others. I am like truly more with myself in a way.
Right.
You know.
I think efficiency is a big thing for you too, and I think being more efficient with your time and not feeling like you wasted time because you feel already so crunched with your days and your calendar.
Yeah, being a full-time student, you know, and being a full-time athlete is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be efficient with your time.
Yes.
You know, my training sessions are hours on end, and my study hours are hours on end. So scrolling for 2 hours on your phone is not a very efficient use of your time.
I gotcha. And that's just so like mature of you to see that at your age. You know, it's so hard.
Yeah. Versus like, I don't have time to go work out. When you really did, you spent 2 hours
Yeah.
on Instagram or whatever, you know?
Exactly.
You have a lot more time than you think.
I agree.
You know, and it's a great feeling at the end of the day, because I feel like I look at what I've achieved in a day, you know, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So and that's every day. So it's like to do that every day and feel consistently like I'm striving for my goals, because really what it is about when you're doing hard things is it's about your effort. Not we're so like goal oriented in our brains, but really it's about, am I putting the work in, the effort.
It's easier to make a goal and maybe not follow through, right?
Yeah.
And versus like just the
Really your effort.
The proof is in the pudding, right?
Yes.
Like,
And to tie it back to like the parents,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing with these kids and supporting your kids with your parents is reward your kids with effort, you know, nice effort, like, because you can put your all into something and maybe you don't get a result, just like Nate with his most recent competition.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not placing the best that he would have liked to place, but
he did give it all of his effort.
The effort was there
Yeah.
entirely.
He trained hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you reward someone with their efforts, it's rewarding that idea of growth mindset, you know, and so it's just gives that person more opportunity to try harder the next time, you know.
They feel inspired rather than beaten down and
Yes.
judged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because
all-
you're already judging yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you have an opportunity to judge them in a great way, like
Yeah.
by judging their efforts and telling them how great and what a great job they did and all the positives versus the other side of the coin.
Yeah, it's all about
Yeah.
your effort, you know.
Yeah.
That's all. And it's hard to ask for, but I mean, if you're giving it, then there's nothing but to reward it. But often it's like you don't realize your efforts because you're so goal oriented. And so you take away from your efforts because you didn't necessarily succeed, you know, but really you did because you gave yourself to this, whatever, you know, sport, school, relationship, you know.
Yes.
So.
I would say to like all the parents out there that maybe have someone, an athlete or someone that is working hard on a sport or anything else, like I wouldn't know, you know, if I didn't have him as a child to talk about you did a great effort all the time, you know. I mean, even when like you're down and you had a bad comp, you know, I mean, I love you and I want to make you feel better, but I think that's a great thing to be able to say, you know what, Elias, you really put in a great effort. Like
That is something constructive.
it's very constructive and makes them stop and think like, I did. I did. I didn't just fail. I gave it my best effort. I just didn't have my best day today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
I just think that's something important for people to like understand, that it's a good thing for your child to hear, that I don't think a lot of people would think of saying. That's all.
I don't think you do.
No.
You just want to comfort.
Yeah.
This is really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Because I knew how he felt.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the trick he wanted to put down, and he had it all at practice, and he had it, and he just didn't put it down.
Yeah.
And so I knew that feeling of like, you know, and that heartbreak, and
Yeah.
what do you say?
Yeah.
But you know what? You're right. Because he practiced and he did it. And you know what? All you can do is put in your effort. And at the end of the day, it's either, you know, like you have some days you win and you have some days you lose. And it's all different reasons, right?
Yeah.
But if your effort is consistent and you feel like you gave it your all, then you can hold your head high, you know?
Exactly.
And that's, I guess, a good constructive thing to say.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have thought of it like that.
No. So thank
See,
you.
it's always good to get insight from
always
our
learning.
youngins.
Always
Yeah.
learning.
Always
Yes,
learning.
every day.
And and I know you didn't do this. We wanted to touch a little bit on the college application nightmare, along with the sports. No, it was an actual nightmare. And I think on that level with Sarah, you know, she gave 100% to school, like everything. She had no other life. You know, she went to like one of those, you know, college preparatory schools that had tons of homework every night and crazy hours. And I mean, you witnessed it. I mean, she was
Yes.
like Ivy League or, you know, Stanford or, you know, and I honestly thought in my brain, like, this kid will finally get a break and I think she's going to get what she wants. Like, you always think, like, that the good will rise. You know, what do they say? Cream rises to the top.
Yes.
But it doesn't always. And
No.
how many disappointments you watched her get with the rejections, the wait list, the no. We did the college counselor. We did the whole thing. And now doing it with Nate, with just one university. He wanted to go to the U. He got in. It's great.
Yep.
Zero pressure. All this, you know, all this energy that went into her for a good 6-8 months. I mean, probably a year, actually. Because it starts your junior year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a while.
And you were alongside me, and the pain that she felt. And again, like, I wish I had that effort to talk to her about.
Yeah.
Because she didn't understand. You
No.
know, like this essay that was beautifully written, that was, you know, and you have to remember that these people that are in missions are looking at these things for 30 seconds.
And they're
You know?
looking at 1 million.
Exactly.
Okay, they're looking at 1 million, and they have to take people. They're not just taking the top, 5,000. I mean, they're placing people. You know, they're thinking about a lot of other things. They're not just taking the top. So,
But I look back and I look at her and I look at, yes, you can say they land where they're supposed to land. I still think I'm glad she's happy and
Yes.
it all worked out. But that's in hindsight. And I wish
yes.
during that time, number one, that kids didn't feel this pressure to apply to 20. You know, her school kind of did that. And I blamed some of these institutions that are like pushers also, you know. And then social media with everybody with their college sweatshirts
Totally.
when they get in. And then it's like, oh, I got into all these. And that's what you're seeing. You're not seeing the tears and the heartbreak and I gave up every school dance, every weekend, every party to study. And, you know, so, I mean, in hindsight, right? Like, you kind of already knew you wanted your kids to just go someplace fun, normal, be adjusted, have another life.
I didn't want them to have that pressure.
Yeah.
And I was about them having a college experience, going where they wanted to go, but I wasn't about just giving everything up. I felt like with, your sport and Melissa's, for that matter, they were both already so involved. And I really think that a lot of people don't look at undergrad as well. They're like, where'd you go to law school? They're not like, where'd you go to undergrad? I think that also was a big thing for me too. When I thought about a lot of my friends and their careers, like that's where they say they went to school. They don't talk about
Undergrad.
the U,
Right.
they talk about Yale,
Right.
So that was also a part that I don't know. It was different because I had Melissa who didn't pressure herself like Sarah, and then it was Sarah's turn who just pressured herself in every possible way and tried she did everything
that you thought you could do.
yes
Yeah.
and then we skipped to him.
I know.
Okay.
I followed suit with him. I was like, this is great.
Submit yeah.
And
It was just like, Nate in Vale, we were like, what was the name of the girl? One of the sisters was like, I got into
Billy.
Billy's like, I got into the U, and we're like, oh, Nate, did you get in? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, let me download the app and let me see if I can log in.
But do you know how nice that was?
It was great. No, it was awesome.
It was like the pressure is finally off.
Yes.
'Cause he has so much pressure like you do in other ways.
Yeah.
And I just want, we all get a degree, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter how many A's you have and how many B's you have. And, Sarah's finally relaxing. Like, she got a couple B's. I'm like, you know what? Good for you.
Yeah.
this is normal.
It's normal.
Have a balanced life.
Yes.
Have, because I think these days I'm really concerned about our kids' mental health. And like, I even know I struggle like with anxiety. And I mean,
Sure.
you've watched me just go through the gamut of like therapy and, all this stuff, and managing it, and you do the best you can, but to be their age, right?
The pressures they have at their age is crazy. I mean, so much more than we had.
They can be found all the time by a phone. I mean, we had to be home.
If you wanted to know who was looking for you, you got home.
Truly.
And it was written on a pad. Blah, 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 called.
It's crazy.
Yes.
So, and they're always like your social media and all this stuff is just so much. And I think you add this college thing to it and it's enormous.
It's enormous.
I mean, and I just want to say to the parents out there, run of the mill is okay. And it's like, they will find their passions no matter where they are.
I think run of the mill is okay. In addition to that, you might have a kid that does a 5.3 and, ace the ACT and has the best letters of recommendation, and they still might not get in.
It's really the truth.
And that's the reality of what's happening.
It doesn't matter.
And so that, going back to effort, I think would be a good time to bring that up again. They put in an amazing effort, and it's not about what they didn't do. It's about maybe that place isn't right, or who knows? I don't know. But it's not about the effort of that child.
It's not. And life isn't fair.
Life is not fair.
It's just not. And it's like, but you want all their dreams and all their, everything to come true. Of
course.
Yeah.
But I think bringing it full circle to the beginning of our discussion is like the parents, we have to know where our places in all of these things, whether it's sports or college or school. It's like if you get a C in a class and you gave it your all, I mean, then that is what's important. Not the outcomes. And I think that's like such a big thing to know, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's a great lesson, and I think that it's a good way to look. It's a good way to look at something, the other side of something.
Yeah, I really thank you for that,
sure,
because that was really helpful.
Yeah, totally.
And I never thought of it like that.
No.
I knew being encouraging and all of that, but the effort is such a good way to live your life. And as you get to be empty nesting one day, Elias, effort is, what do they say? E for effort?
I think that's what they say, John.
Anyway, well,
I think
you have to go to Sundance.
I have to Sundance. He has an
appointment to.
And we'll have you back on. We're sad that
I'd like to
Melissa's
have
not
Nate.
here.
Yeah.
But we need to have
all the kids.
Yes.
All
That would
the
be
kids.
awesome.
Yes.
It'd be so to do like a round table.
I would
Yeah.
love that. But
Yeah.
it would be
Awesome.
so great if you guys like our contact to share our podcast with other women or people that would benefit from this, other parents.
Absolutely.
And subscribe, and
share.
And
We
we'll
always
get
forget
involved
that.
and we'll get your Sundance recap next
Yes,
week.
I can't wait.
I'm excited
Let
for
the
you.
games begin.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thanks,
us.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of JK, It's Not About You.
You can write in and ask your questions on our show's Instagram page at JK It's Not About You, and we will address your questions on the next week's episode.
If this episode helped you, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family.
Share the fun with all those that can benefit from a good laugh or cry with us.
Please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we would greatly appreciate you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.